Namaste, beautiful souls. Welcome and thank you for watching. I'm Gabrielle, retired medium in Germany, and I like to share some of my otherworldly experiences and insights. So, this is about columns of light, a childhood memory. I think I was around 7 years old. Already went to ground school at the small village where I lived with my parents and my siblings. And right opposite to our house, there was a farmhouse where I used to play with some other kids, and we did all the things we were not allowed to. We played in the barn and liked to jump down from higher joists to the straw and enjoyed all that. And we played with the animals. That farmer had cows and pigs, and when we touched the little newborn piglets, these cute rosy color little things, they always kind of squeaked and as if they already knew that someday they will be killed and eaten. They seemed not to really enjoy the touch and the cuddling of the children. They were kind of afraid of humans. That was my idea. But I loved them. They were just so cute. And that farmer had the hay in the attic of his house and above the stables, because his house was built with the stables attached like an L form. And in the attic there were several big rooms compartmentalized with walls and doors and thresholds. And there he kept the hay, the loose hay that he fed his animals in the stables below with. So one day I remember, and I can never forget that because it was such a very special experience and feeling that kind of accompanied me my whole life. And now, after 60 years, it slowly starts making sense. I was all alone in the attic, and I was kind of walking through the different rooms with the hay. And before I entered kind of the last room where the hay was, I suddenly got a very special feeling, as if when I'm entering this room, something like magic would happen, something extraordinary, something special, as if I'm entering into another world of secrecy, invisibility, and holiness. And I stood a while in front of that door to the last room with the hay in it, and then I very consciously stepped over the threshold and entered this last compartment. And there were some little holes in the roof where the sun was shining through, and the dust of the hay was swirling around in these rays of light, and it looked as if they were kind of firm columns of light all around me. And I expected something like, showing up of angels or fairies or anything that was in my childlike consciousness as special. And I never could get over that feeling of holiness, because usually as a kid you run around and you play and you shout and yell and make a lot of noise. And I went totally silent, as if I'm on holy ground. A feeling that I always missed in the church when my parents forced me to go there. But I had it in that hay barn, or the hay attic of the farmhouse. And I went in there slowly, silently, and I sat down and I watched the swirling dust in these columns of light shining through the little holes in the roof. And they felt to me like something special, as if they are beings which I couldn't understand because they had no form. They were just these columns of light. And on one hand, you can explain that very easily away with rational logic mind, of course, swirling dust, or if you are smoking and you blow your exhaling smoke of the cigarette into a ray of sunlight, suddenly the ray becomes visible and you see the smoke or the dust swirling around in it and forming this kind of ray of light. That's the one hand, but on the other hand, my feeling was very special. That was a holy moment, and I was surrounded by columns of light, and I was sitting in that hay attic, and I was expecting something, like children are, and nothing happened. It was just silence. Total silence. I didn't hear any other sound, not from the stables, not from the animals, not from the farmer working in his yard with some of his machines, or the other children playing and making noise. It was total silence. And this feeling of holiness that I can never forget, as if I'm on sacred ground. And now, 60 years later, that slowly starts making sense to me, because I think now that was kind of the first touch in my childlike mind of the light. And I think these columns of light were kind of a representation of the Elohim showing up later in my life, and that I'm allowed to channel right now. So this is what I wanted to share with you. Maybe you have some childhood memories that are similar or alike, where you felt something you never felt before. You felt without knowing and being able to explain the word, you felt holiness, sacredness, something special, and it usually happens in total silence. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, just a little childhood memory, but very symbolically and metaphorically kind of giving me an idea about my future that I am living right now. And when I close my eyes now, I sometimes can see the columns of light around me as well. And I know these are spiritual beings that are formless, non-physical, but I can feel their energy, and the energy feels exactly how I felt in the attic with the hay and these rays of light full of swirling dust. So, thank you for watching, and as always, blessings, liberation, and fortitude to you, beautiful souls on your soul path. Bye.